So today I show you guys again a little update about my corals in my reef tank. As you could guess from the pictures you see on the screen, it's heavily SPS dominated. Most corals are Montipora corals, which was actually the theme of the tank when I started it out, and then along the journey I just added some other corals, but let's dive inside and go through one by one. My actually favorite coral from the beginning was that purple Stylophora there on the top of that rock on the left. It definitely grew quite a lot since I have that frag since 1.5 years, and the only little disadvantage is since it's that big on the top of that rock, it kind of starts shading me here a lot of the other corals. So you see that digitada there right below. Since that gets that much shaded, it just kind of starts a little bit. Definitely the polyps stays inside, it just doesn't get enough light. And when you look, the tank is actually, the lights are two RedSea ReefLed 160S, and they definitely have quite a wide spread, but it's not really like it would be a full T5 flood of light above, so that's why it definitely has that, that shading disadvantage a lot of hobbyists obviously know about, that you then definitely start shading certain corals underneath. But that's maybe one of my favorite corals. I just kind of like the growth pattern from these Stylophora corals. I have some other ones, also that one there on the back. It's a little bit more like an ocean blue, I always call it. When you see the one on the top is more kind of purple, the one below there is more kind of a blue, and then another one is there all the way on the back. I think that was from Jason Fox. He calls it radioactive Stylophora, and as well as that green one here, which got the name Project X, also from Jason Fox assortment of corals. And then actually my last Stylophora is almost a little bit dying here behind. It has like a weird little slime growth, which is actually, I don't know if you can see that, it's a little bit all over the rock there. It looks like it doesn't really like the light, so that's why usually when the light goes on it disappears a little bit. But that one definitely didn't grow as well. So when you think that green one here, which I think it's called Steve Garrett Stylophora, within the 1.5 years actually didn't grow at all. I bought both corals at the exact same time, and the one you see on the right, the purple one, grew almost 10 times the size, probably almost, and the one on the back just stayed with the exact same size. Now after the Stylophora, let's jump into with one of my favorites, the Montipora setosa. The red one you see there. My little cleaner shrimp is right below there. But also that one grew from a tiny little frag 1.5 years ago to kind of that size. I also have a tiny little patch of that setosa here on the very back. I don't know if you can even see that. There a little bit around. Or here in between you can see it, because that's the only downside a little bit with these heavy encrusting Montipora corals. When they grow on your rocks, you can definitely take them off and frag them off, but there will be always a layer stay back, which then grow back over time, as long as you have sufficient light and water quality and everything there. So that's a little bit the only downside, having these Montipora corals, because especially everything that's that much encrusting, like that red setosa there, you almost have to exchange the whole rock. But the cool thing about my rock work, which I still would do exactly the same if I would start a new reef tank, these are actually the man-made rocks from Caribsea, the one you can stack on top of each other, and you don't glue them, so you can always take the whole reef completely apart in case you have to move it. Like I just moved the tank like half a year ago from another room in my house, and then if you have glued your whole rock work together, that's literally almost impossible to take out of your tank. But if everything is in these big little pieces, so when you see the left island, how I call it, and the right island, they are both made out of 3 to 4 main pieces, and they are just held together by I think it's a glass fiber rod in the middle. You might see it there on the top a little bit, and that holds together all these rocks. Or you maybe also see it when I try to film here a little bit inside the rock work. There is that rod. You see it there, the black and a little bit white inside, which holds all the rocks together. And in case you ever have to evacuate all the fish or something like this, then you don't have to tear your whole rock work apart, because it's just literally like Lego in pieces up there. But let's go back to the Montipora. As I said, that's a Tosa there, definitely one of my favorite. Then there's also like a green encrusting Montipora here on the side, which grows there all the way to the back. Another Montipora is obviously that Montipora digitada here on the top, which is also encrusted all over the rock and now finally starts branching out. Again, that's the other thing, that heavy encrusting like you see here. If you ever want to remove that coral, that's just kind of bad luck, because everything that's encrusted over that rock you probably don't get off at all. Then also the red digitado, I have one piece here. I probably move that over here to the other side, where I have a little bit more of them here all the way on the top, which is growing nicely. Then obviously all the Montiporas there inside, which is kind of a grafted red Capricornis. I hope we see it here maybe from the side. There's a starburst Monty, which I have also here on the bottom, and almost completely hidden now, the green accent ham up there. Another Montipora Capricornis, a purple one. And I actually just got an inquiry from somebody here in the area who was looking for a purple Capricornis, especially for a plating one, which that definitely is doing a little bit. In the beginning, it was heavily encrusting just over the rock, but now it finally starts plating off. And he was actually asking if he could have a piece. And on my Instagram channel, I even got an inquiry for somebody who lives in Italy, if I could send him a little piece of that, which I friendly declined, because I don't think that's very economical, sending tiny little piece of quite common coral all the way over the world to Italy. But I hope that fellow reefer finds that coral somewhere else. Then also one I maybe at one point here have to start frag off, because it literally sucks me out all the alkalinity and everything I put in the tank, is that green Montipora Capricornis here. It's absolutely huge, and you see here that thing is probably almost 1 or 2 pounds heavy or something like this. That grew out of a tiny little frag as well 1.5 years ago. Then another one is that Montipora here. I think that was called something with cherry, because it has that red color and the polyps are actually green, so it almost looks like a cherry. just in form of a Montipora coral, and that's, I think, all the Monties I have on that side. No, not true. German blue Montipora digitada. At least I got it sold like this. It's actually surprisingly slow growing. It has a green base and kind of purplish, bluish polyps. Also a very nice one. And again, it's not really a bad thing that sometimes those things are not growing ultra quick. Yeah, beautiful color and coral as well. Now after the Montipora, we go after one of my other favorite corals. I actually have a lot of them in that tank. And that's the Anacropora family. Maybe the most prominent one is here, the one on the right island. It's called Green Slime Ball Anacropora. I got that frag from Worldwide Corals, and you see it's actually branching out all the way here from that island on the right side. And it definitely grew quite a lot in the last couple months and weeks. And I can just like it. It almost looks like another Anacropora I have, but this one is like very thick branches. And I think it just looks great. It has a great color. It gives a great addition to that tank. The other one, who is almost the same, is that green goblin Anacropora there on the bottom. You see, that's also like a huge colony I have there. It actually grows always more and more. And the little chromias are actually happy to go and hide inside all the time. But that colony was actually so big that I had to split it up. One part is here on the left side, one part is in the middle, and I feel like you saw that already before. Another part is here on the back, where I actually have quite a lot of diatom and also a little bit cyano. So I maybe go and siphon that out a little bit later. But it's a great coral. It's almost like a bird's nest. But it's definitely much thicker branching, and again it's from the Anacropora family, if you can name it like this. Another Anacropora is the red TNT red Anacropora, the one there on the top, or I actually also have quite a big piece here on the bottom. That one is from Jason Fox, and it's definitely a little bit more thin, so I have to be always very cautious when I try to get some little frags out of that one, because it's definitely very thin and it breaks off very easy, but it looks great. It gives a great addition here to the tank, and it's also quite fast growing, so it's definitely very rewarding as a reefer, especially when you see your corals are growing within a couple months or years. Because I feel like the last thing I really want to have is a coral I have to wait almost 4 or 5 years till it kind of grows to something. Which leads me to another coral which often takes quite a lot to grow out to something, and those are the Acroporas here. One of them is the one the shrimp is on at the moment. I have now great polyp extension on that one. They are kind of like really out and thick there, so that makes me quite happy. The other one is right above. I also have no real idea what kind of the name is for that one, but the size, when you see that, that's the growth of maybe a year, something around this. And it definitely encrusted very heavily on the rock, but kind of the branching piece is still kind of a little bit missing out. That's a maximum of 1 or 2 inches in 1 year. And the third Acropora I have here on the top, I actually like that very much, because it is it's really hairy, and you see the hairs, or the obviously polyps, not hairs, are waving around in the current. It just looks really great. It is a green color, and it has almost a little bit some parts of pink on it. Great coral. I like that very much. Then one I often forget, because it's considered, as far as I know, also Acropora, but it's often named as Bali Slimer, is that big green one here. And also that one grew, actually when you look at this, that's at least maybe 8-9 inches of big branches there, one that goes up and one that goes kind of here a little bit sideways. And that also grew within 1.5 years out of a maybe 1 inch little frag. I actually have in my little frag tank over here some tiny little frags from that one. They're also doing very good. So that was kind of the size when I got that one. So that much to the Anacroporas. Then I have Cyphastrias, and one of them is a branching one. I think it's called Bling Bling Cyphastria. It's from Jason Fox. That's the one I have here on the front. Then I have another Cyphastria, which is actually completely hidden there under the big Montipora. So I'm not sure if that goes anywhere. Then other than this, I have that purple tip hammer here in the sand bed. It's definitely also not much growing, but it's doing good. I first thought it could be a little bit tricky with the current, because I have quite some wave and current inside, but it's actually doing, especially in that position. You see how the tentacles swinging around in the water. That's definitely fine. I don't think that's too much for that one. Then right above it is the candy cane, and that one I actually bought on a frag swap maybe a little bit over a year ago, and it was one single head. And I was always holding back because I thought like, oh, these candy cane, they don't really grow probably ever, and then I end up having that tiny little one head for like multiple months. And look at this, that's probably, I never really counted them, but that's probably like 30, 40, 50 heads or something like this. It almost created a ball or something like this. Absolutely beautiful. Maybe one time I tried to get there's some different colorations of that one. That one is more kind of green yellowish. Maybe there's one that has more a dark green. That would be a cool addition to the tank as well. Then I have 2 brain corals. It's that one over here on the left side. I had to separate them quite a lot because the tentacles wanted to start kill other corals, so I have to put them a little bit isolated, which is fine. So I can have a little coral for the edge here, and that's the other brain coral here on that side. Then we have like a short polyp Ganipora, and my goal is actually that one grows over that little rock I placed for that one. It's definitely growing. It's definitely growing and growing. I just always hope that the polyps come out a little bit further, but it looks like it's just kind of a short polyp Ganipora version. I'm still not sure if I should ever try to get another Ganipora with longer tentacles, because they are sometimes probably not too good in my tank, because I have quite strong light in here. Then the absolute last one is 2 of these Fabias. One is that guy over here, and the very similar one, if not the same one, I have underneath here, and I just kind of see then where those guys are going. But yeah, that's an overview about my tank, and It's definitely so fascinating, that hobby, just looking at these corals and how they grow. I maybe one time make a little comparison when I bought them as a frag and how they looked like. But yeah, beautiful hobby, and thank you guys for watching.